Hey, Peter. God dang it, Bobby.
Today on 191 Media, we're going to be telling you if you should watch the movie You Were Never Really Here, directed by Lynne Ramsey. I'm your host, Matt.
And I'm Micah.
This movie stars Joaquin Phoenix and Ekaterina Samsonova. It is a drama and suspense movie, and I'd even go as far to say it's a thriller as well. The plot summary for this movie is that our main character Joe is ex-military and he has severe PTSD. His job is to rescue underage girls that have been taken for human sex trafficking. One job that he takes is to find a missing girl, which is the daughter of a senator running for office. What he uncovers is something much more sinister. He gets caught up in an undercover hit job where he gets tricked by the very same people that hired him for the job. Joe has to race against time as he tries to save the girl and battle his own demons. So Micah, what did you think of the prose of this movie? What did you really like about it?
So I think this movie was one of the dark horses, like in terms of 2017 movies. I think it kind of came out of nowhere. I think for me personally, I had watched it twice. The first time I didn't really completely understand what the director was going for, Lynne Ramsey. But the second time I kind of understood where Joe was coming from as a character, what kind of problems he was having with his PTSD. He seemed to really be a troubled character, and I think he was well written in that regard too. Joaquin Phoenix is a really good method actor as well, so you can kind of tell like, okay, this is a guy that could actually put the role, that could actually make the role, or do it justice, I guess. In terms of cinematography too, I thought everywhere that they filmed was really well done. And the one thing that I thought was really interesting was the way they added music to the movie. It was very interesting in the way that they kind of built up Joe in the beginning as this character, like, okay, who are we watching? Like, what are his motives? He seems like a very troubled person, but the music adds a lot to a movie. And I think a lot of directors maybe just don't really get that nowadays. There's a difference between if that movie doesn't have music, it's going to be very different. So I think I like the movie a lot. All right, Matt. So what did you like about You Were Never Really Here?
Nothing about this movie.
So Matt, what did you like about You Were Never Really Here?
I agree with you absolutely. The music was phenomenal in this movie. I mean, it wasn't, I'd say not Oscar worthy, but it definitely added to the movie. So, audiovisual synchronicity was amazing. And of course, like you said, the acting from Joaquin Phoenix and even the young girl, Ekaterina, she did a great job, even though she wasn't having too much screen time. It's one of those movies that you gotta watch twice. It's I guess what you'd say an artsy kind of movie. Like you said, the first time I watched it too, I didn't understand what was going on exactly. But the second time, it's just like everything just falls into place. So yeah, definitely recommend watching this movie. I enjoyed it.
I hope our one fan enjoys this video.
It'll be me.
You better enjoy it.
So Micah, what did you think were the cons of this movie? What didn't you like about it?
So the one thing I wasn't a huge fan of for this movie, there was a lot of parts in the movie where I wish there was more dialogue. Also, at times, I know like Joaquin Phoenix's character Joe, he's ex-military, he has PTSD, like he's got all these problems, but maybe just a little bit of emotion wouldn't have hurt sometimes. Like I know there's a lot of movies and TV shows where you kind of think, okay, does this character have any more emotions than like anger or something like that, right? But that was like very minute, like very small in terms of that portion of it. If that's the worst thing that I can say about this movie, then it's going to be a great movie. So Matt, we're moving on to cons for the movie. What would you say were some specific cons of the movie you didn't like?
Honestly, I probably disagree with you with Joe's. You said he's kind of one emotion, like he only has anger, but I think because he's so damaged from PTSD that personally I don't think that's a con. What I did think was a con it's one stupid thing. Basically, there's this scene where they turn on the news and it's that classic TV movie trope, it's like turn on the TV and it's this exact newscast you need to see. Like, what are the chances, right? So to me, that was really the only major con. I guess the only other thing I might say is that they had a low budget, so it would have been a lot more interesting if they had a bigger budget, I'm sure, because a lot of the action was kind of done off camera to kind of maximize the budget. But other than that, I can't really think of too many cons.
Yeah, can I just add a little bit to that too?
Yeah.
You mentioned kind of a lot of the violence was done kind of off screen too. And there was, I don't know if that was, there's a part where they kind of have like a weird camera type angle to it. I think, I don't know if you remember that specific part, but it almost seems like it was done amateurish, but I think that was kind of the point for it. But I think it was almost like the camera was from the hotel's point of view.
Oh, like like CCTV kind of style, yeah.
But I think maybe there were certain points where the camera kind of, what am I trying to say? Like, there were certain points where there was violence where it looked a little bit fake. But like Matt said, that may have been budget restrictions too. I was reading a little bit up on it too, but I think the director, Lynne Ramsey, she hadn't really worked on a lot of like violent type movies before. But I think maybe it was a stylistic choice on her end too, so.
I mean, it worked well. I mean, if only a lot of these good movies had bigger budgets, right?
Spent all the budget on Joaquin Phoenix.
Probably.
Get your 20 million and get out.
All right, Micah, next question for you. Do you think you understood this movie?
That was a good question, Matt. I think I did understand the movie, but I feel like it would even warrant maybe a couple more watches from me, because a lot of the times I was watching the movie and I wasn't tired, but it's like you need to completely focus on the movie. I think I did overall understand what the director was going for in this film, but I think I need maybe a few more watches to completely understand it. And opinions are very, I guess, subjective, right?
Oh yeah.
So maybe I didn't completely understand what was going on. The director may have wanted something to be the way it was. I guess everyone thinks that a movie should be the way it is, and maybe I didn't completely understand fully what the movie was about, but I think I had a pretty decent idea. So Matt, do you think you completely understood the movie then?
I'd say I understood it pretty well after the second viewing, like you mentioned. So definitely first viewing, I was pretty confused, to be honest, but after the second viewing, I definitely understood it a lot more. Scenes were making a lot more sense, because this movie is one of those movies that they don't feed you the explanation of everything. You kind of have to figure it out yourself. Near the end, without spoiling anything, there's a couple scenes that kind of, I guess I'm still confused on the ending a little bit, just because it questions a few things in the movie, but other than that, I think I understood it pretty well.
Kind of blurs your reality. Right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it makes you question, are some things real, like are some things not? Like, are we actually experiencing the movie, or is it something going on in Joe's mind?
Next question for you, Micah. How did you like the sets that they used for this movie?
Yeah, I thought the sets were well done. It's nice to have real practical sets instead of watching a lot of CGI movies lately, which I seem to have been doing. I think it looked like it was trying to be set in like New York or something like that, because there was lots of subway shots. Lots of the areas kind of looked like apartments and neighborhoods, stuff like that. Yeah,
it's hard to say. They didn't really, I don't know if they specifically said it's New York, but definitely it looked like New York, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it did well in terms of practical effects for sure, and all the sets just looked great. So Matt, what did you think of the sets in the movie too?
I'd agree with you 100%. I did like the practical sets, and like you said, I don't think there was any, or there wasn't very much CGI, and if there was, honestly, couldn't even tell. Everything was, I guess, shot beautifully, and I guess to maximize their budget, if they were in a warehouse, it didn't seem like they were, and even though shots may be simple when you break it down, especially that there's a water scene kind of halfway through the movie that was really well shot, really well choreographed, I guess, even though without spoiling anything, it's not a lot going on, but it's a great set, great scene.
Mm-hmm. All right, Matt, so how would you compare this movie to other similar films?
I'd say if you like, it's hard to say. I mean, this is a kind of one of those unique movies, you know, but it has action, it has thrills, it has suspense, there's drama, there's amazing acting. So technically I guess it's like a hitman movie, but you know those old movies about the game that were like not very good? It's not like that. So it's like actually well done, good acting. I guess just like if you want a good drama action thriller.
The Hitman's Bodyguard, this is not.
Well, I was thinking, you know the game Hitman?
Yeah,
And then they made that movie like years ago.
I wish I had seen that one. But usually, like, it feels like every like video game turned into a movie usually is not very good.
Yeah, usually this one wasn't. I mean, I think I first watched when honestly, I was probably like a kid, so I thought it was pretty badass, but like thinking back on it, it was pretty bad probably.
Well, we probably think a lot of movies were good when we were kids. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we did enjoy the Star Wars prequels.
I still love those movies, okay?
I do too, but there's a lot wrong with them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, storm's coming, Annie. Better go inside. All right, Matt, so here's a little bit of trivia for you. So Joaquin Phoenix, he improvised a scene where he was laying down and started singing. Did you know about that?
You know, I actually did read up on this, and thinking about that scene, I mean, it did add to the scene, but I mean, without spoiling anything, I mean, if you're a method actor like Joaquin Phoenix, like, it just makes sense that you would do that. Like, it fit his character perfectly, essentially, and it built on the movie, so it's a cool piece of trivia. He's a good actor.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a bit of trivia for you, Micah. Did you know that director Lynne Ramsey gave Joaquin Phoenix an audio file of fireworks mixed with gunshots to kind of simulate his PTSD?
Yeah, I didn't know that, but it's kind of an interesting thing that a director could do for an actor. I feel like it really helps them kind of figure out where the character should be going. I've never heard of someone giving someone an audio file though of like a couple of different things mashed up together, but it makes sense in terms of the character having PTSD too.
All right, so final question for you. Should we watch this movie, and what is your rating out of 5?
You know, Matt, I think everyone should watch this movie. If you want a movie that makes you think instead of a stereotypical movie like CGI type movie that just doesn't make you think at all, not mentioning any names for movies, but I think you know what I mean.
Shrek?
I was thinking more like Avengers type
I know.
movies, that the one-liners and you just never really get anything from the movie. I mean, you get action, but you don't get things where you're thinking about the movie on a deeper level. I think everyone deserves to watch this movie. Everyone should watch this movie. If you don't watch this movie, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. I think out of 5, I'd probably give it 4.5 out of 5. It was one of those kind of surprising movies for me for the year. All right, Matt, so should we watch this movie, and what would your rating out of 5 be?
I'd say I'd agree with you there, so we definitely should watch this movie, unless, like you mentioned, if you don't like deep movies, if you don't want to have your brain tickle a little bit, do not watch this movie. It's not going to be for you. But if you do like a good story, a good acting, good action even, then definitely watch this movie. I would give this movie, I'd say a 4 out of 5 stars.
And you can't go wrong with an hour and a half. Like, I feel like we live in a society.
Society!
So